Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to this weekend, this Sunday. We've got Clash in Paris from WWE. We're going to be doing our live watch-along. I believe the show starts at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern for the good friendos on the East Coast. So join us for that. We'll be sitting here doing... can you give the people an example of one of our reactions? Let's say Sheamus wins against Rusev.
There it is.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. That's it.
That's what you can expect.
You know, that's what you can expect.
Anything less than a jar of viscous urine involved in a Sheamus feud, that's the reaction you're going to get from me.
He peaked, didn't he, when Jeff Hardy threw that urine on him? Yeah.
Get it? Peaked.
Yeah. Get it? Peaked. Anyways.
Get it. Anyways, all right, hot takes time.
Pee sometimes is a bit on the warm side. These are
it is that
hot
viscous
takes,
urine. That viscous urine, very, very much tepid.
Yeah.
Anyways,
these takes hot.
First up from Nick, my hero, says WWE under TKO will never have any bloodline level stories or sagas again. They no longer have the freedom to be creative to tell cool stories while Endeavor is calling the shots. All they care about now is, will this satisfy our investors?
So I watching the Unreal thing, which is firmly set in the TKO era. The thing is, like, the bloodline level stories are draws, and that means it makes money for the company. So I don't think TKO has anything to do with stifling WWE's creative. If Triple H started to get self-indulgent with his booking and booking only things that Triple H wants to see, that would cost the company money, then I could see that being the case. But I think that he books to try to draw fans and tries to tell compelling stories. I just don't think that he really can do it too often.
Here's something I thought of. I'm not saying this is the case or could be the case, but the possibility exists. If from the top down, WWE sees, all right, we can do these things like we're doing now, have competent but rarely exciting TV, fans will still pay these ridiculous ticket prices, buy the merch, subscribe to 10 different streaming services to watch our content. It's like they're wildly successful. They got several billion-dollar deals signed. They're making that money. It could be a situation there might not necessarily be the incentive to push themselves creatively because business is already going pretty good. There's a risk potentially in deviating from what is working. And you'd think, oh, we have this great story and we've cracked it. It's going to span several months. And on paper, it looks great. Still possibility exists. It could fall flat. And it could involve somebody turning face or heel. That's a bit of a risk. I would think that would be more likely the case than anybody up in the boardroom at TKO or Endeavor saying, you got to do this because we got dividends coming out or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'll take a different tact with it. Hey, ticket sales are soft. We're going to bring back The Rock. Well, hell, I had a bunch of stuff planned. Now I got to shoehorn this guy into it. I could see that being a detriment to the creative process and trying to craft long-term stories. I could see that being the case. To your point, I do think that, man, you know what would be a big risk but could pay off huge? Something. But that thing would be so big of a risk that they might not want to risk it, even though it could generate a big reward. Do you think turning Roman Reigns was that level of a risk, given that we saw them turn John Cena this year? Because turning Roman Reigns was the thing that kicked off the Bloodline story. That's
I think at the time, I think everybody was convinced that Vince was going to, one way or the other, make Roman the face of the company as a babyface. And when he turned heel, it was legitimately surprising because I don't think anybody thought it was going to happen until Roman had his moment as face of the company, babyface, had a long run as top babyface of the company, then maybe down the road turned heel. And, of course, the irony is that he turns heel. That leads to him just kind of organically becoming a huge babyface, the face of the company. So, yeah, I think there was... It was, given that also it was during pandemic, he was off TV for a while. I think maybe given those circumstances, it might have mitigated the risk in their mind somewhat. Like Roman's been off TV for a few months. Maybe in their estimation, things were going fine.
Also, Roman was adamant to do it.
Yeah.
But at that point, it's like, man, this hasn't really worked, so we're going to go ahead and do this. I mean, at that point, they had proof that it wasn't working. And so it's like, yeah, I kind of feel like the risk was a little bit on the low side. And in fact, apparently, the original plan was for that heel turn not to last very long. Mm-hmm. And then we saw what happened. Everything to me says, look, number one, you say that business is going good. That cannot be disputed. But it's not like there aren't indications that everything is great. You look at the numbers. This was reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that WWE noticed that, or the numbers of Saturday night's main event, for example, on NBC haven't been as much as they had hoped or had expected. Yeah, they put together some really great deals. You would think they would be happier if their numbers across the board on their viewership were higher, because that would ensure perpetual deals, perpetual exponential investor returns.
I mean, that's the end game of capitalism, is it not? Perpetual growth, infinitely.
Yes.
That's the whole idea, that no matter what, growth continues, dividends are paid out, investors happy. And that only happens if you have perpetual infinite growth.
You wring the money out of the fans, and if they have no more, guess what? Klarna. You could put it in payments. So, I think they're savvy enough to understand if we do good stuff, people will tune in. But I can understand how sometimes the business aspect of things could get in the way of that. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe with the John Cena heel turn, there were a variety of things where they had to pivot. Cena himself has said, we've already pivoted several times. So, but I don't necessarily think those pivots happened because, the Ari Emanuel was on the phone. You need to pivot. This is stupid. I think that they do things because they know that they're going to sell tickets. I mean, that's the bottom line. They want to sell tickets, but you're not going to sell tickets if you're not compelling. So, yeah, I mean, there is pressure for them to perform. Is it the same kind of pressure that Vince McMahon felt back in 1996, 97 when WCW was absolutely annihilating him and his back was up against the wall? So, yeah, our product's crap. Let's go ahead and spice it up a little bit. No, because that's his entire business that's on the line. Triple H, all he would get is a really good severance package. So yeah, I think the dude feels pressure, but not the kind of pressure of, and maybe the amount of pressure you feel is commensurate with, hey, this has got to be really good or else it's my meal,
Could be.
Vince would have been fine. He just would have sold the Turner or some shit. I don't know. Anyway.
We got a hot take here from Social Creditor. Says this whole Peacock ESPN thing is going to blow up WWE's face. AEW may prove to be a threat after all if enough people can't afford or don't want to purchase the new subscription. We've talked at several points about the amount of money that WWE is asking their fan base to invest in their product on a regular basis. And at a certain point, you'd think for some fans there would be a breaking point. Like literally, I cannot afford to spend... was it $23 on Netflix, $30 on ESPN, that's $53 plus another $13 on Peacock. That's near $100 a month you got to pay just to watch WWE product.
Can you think of any other form of...
Well, not 100. Hold on. That's what? 60-something. 70-something. 70-something. 80-something. 80-something. Well, it is near 100. Okay, there, yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's like a family of four at McDonald's right there. Can you think of any other form of fictional storytelling
$66.
that demands $66 a month of its fan base? Unless you want to be a completionist NBA subscriber, unless you want to be, I mean, maybe a completionist when it comes to the NFL, if you want to have the ability to watch every single game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if we're talking narrative television.
Right, yeah, that's sports. I'm talking like, if you want to watch all of the Marvel stuff, you get Disney Plus.
You get Disney Plus.
That's all you get. There's nothing like this.
No, and also it's not the value proposition past wrestling, maybe for subscribing to all of those platforms is not a sure thing for a lot of people. Like, for example, we like basketball, and I don't know if ESPN DTC is going to have the NBA stuff on or not. I really looked into it, I guess so. But I don't know.
Yeah, you would think so.
So there's added value for me to maybe incentivize me to spend that $30 if I need to, if Xfinity Comcast doesn't make a deal with ESPN, so I get the streaming platform free gratis. With my subscription, all right, there's incentive for me to maybe, all right, with added value for me to subscribe to the ESPN thing. It's not the case for everybody.
You know what I just thought of? Comic books. They're exceedingly expensive. If I want to know everything that's going on in the DC universe, I'm paying a hell of a lot more than $66 a month, unless I don't care about the paper product and I want, I think it's called DC Infinite Universe, and that's I think $120 or $100 a year, and you get them I think between 3 and 6 months late. But you can actually, if you just consider yourself, hey, I don't need the latest, I can keep up with all the stories in one place for one fee, which breaks down to like $12 a month or maybe $14 if it's the higher. And so, I mean, that is one example, but that, dude, superhero comic books are not selling very well these days. No. It is not a healthy industry. It's basically being boosted by, scholastic graphic novels, and so, yeah, I mean, there's not, WWE, it's very unique. And it is kind of like, to get the whole story, you kind of have to get all these different things if you want to watch it all play out, not on, YouTube clips and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Now, is it going to blow up in their face as so long as people are willing to spend what they're charging for ticket prices? I'm hesitant to think at this juncture it's going to blow up in their face, but at a certain point, it's going to compound to a degree that enough people will be like, this isn't worth it for me.
It's just, I mean, look, blowing up in their face, it's a dramatic way of putting it, but I don't know, maybe the idea is, hey, because we're going to have the exposure of being on ESPN, that will bring in new people who could potentially fork over the rest of the money we're looking for and offset people who might be turned off and go away from it. I think that's an incredibly likely scenario as well. Because whenever you're on a new platform, you're exposed to people, and then and some amount of those people are going to buy in. But I God dang, dude, I was watching. What was I watching the other day? I was watching one of the programs, and I was sitting there thinking, it's wild to me. I guess it was Raw. I was sitting there watching Raw during one of the many European chants. I had time to think, and I was like, man, it's wild that in this day and age, when there are so many entertainment options and every minute of your entertainment experience is precious to these companies, that the only people, I personally think the only people that want more are the streamers. Like, could you imagine if WWE gave us 2 solid hours, or the amount of time dedicated to Raw, 2.5 hours a week, and that's it? No SmackDown, no NXT, no LFG, no Evolve, if that's even a thing still. That's all you get, 2.5 hours. Wouldn't that be awesome?
It'd be great.
It would, look, from our point of view, it would kind of suck because, like, I don't know if we'd be able to sustain just
what
that.
are we going to do for 3 other episodes over the course of the week?
Right. And this is never going to happen, but it's like people would be so satisfied with just that and then monthly pay-per-views like it used to be back when we were coming up. Like, imagine them jam-packing everything great into 2.5 hours, you know? Boy, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
But the streamer, same thing with AEW. Bro, it was hilarious because in the comments for our AEW predictions episode for the last show for Forbidden Door, you and I were clowning around about the Nigel Zack Sabre Jr. match. Mm-hmm. We're like, well, it's a collision thing. I don't fucking know what's going on here, but I know Zack Sabre Jr. is going to win, and he did. Yeah. But there were several people in the comments saying, you can't bother to watch 50% of AEW's programming. All right, 50% of AEW's programming amounts to 1/9 of the matches being put together for their pay-per-view. Because the other 8 matches on that pay-per-view
were built up on Dynamite, yeah.
Built on Dynamite. So that means less than...
What you're saying is Collision might account for, in terms of time, half of AEW's weekly wrestling product, but in terms of creative energy...
What, 11%?
11%.
Right.
That is why we don't watch Collision, because it comes off as a show that gets 11% of the attention.
It does, yeah. Yeah, you know. I mean, you could only watch Dynamite, and get 89% of what's going on their pay-per-view.
90% of what's going on.
Yeah, right. So, man, I don't know. I'm sorry. I just went off on a huge tangent there, but it's like, damn, dude, I've got at least 5 apps on here that I go to for my entertainment every single day.
Everything is about what value proposition it presents to you. Collision, in terms of time invested versus reward, the value proposition just ain't there.
It's not really there.
It's not.
No.
When I could be spending those 2 hours doing something else.
Yeah.
Watching something else.
But getting back around to it, at some point you got to think that being on now ESPN, you got to get that. Got to get Peacock. Got to get Netflix. Got to get cable for USA. Granted, I know there's VPNs, but who knows how long those things are going to last. At some point, you would think people would be like, man, I don't know. It's too much for me to catch up on, you know?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
But for now, it seems like they can do it. Anyways, speaking of all that, we got some sponsors for our show. Let's go ahead and talk about them.
Let's do it. This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by Tempo. Summer may be winding down, but that doesn't mean our schedules are getting any less busy. Between work, school, more trips, our schedules are pretty packed, and it can make it tough to plan nutritious meals for ourselves and our families.
That's all very true, Larson, but instead of settling for fast food, try Tempo. Tempo serves up fast, feel-good single-serving meals, which takes all the guesswork out of eating well and are crafted to cook in just 3 minutes, so you can fuel yourself this summer without sacrificing your health or your valuable free time.
Tempo also offers new recipes each week, like spicy pork carnitas and rice bowls. Ooh. And basil pesto chicken primavera that are made with real nutrient-rich ingredients, so it's easy to keep up with your healthy lifestyle. And Steve, you know me. I need to get my protein in every day, and Tempo offers a range of meals for different dietary preferences, including fiber-rich, carb-conscious, and protein-packed options.
And for a limited time, Tempo is offering our listeners 60% off your first box. Go to tempomeals.com/raw. That's tempomeals.com/raw for 60% off your first box. tempomeals.com/raw. Rules and restrictions may apply.
And this episode is sponsored by him. Steve, I'm so close to winning this month's predictions challenge and getting the hat that comes with victory, my second one.
Ooh.
But I want to be honest with you. Neither of us need another hat to cover up what we got going on up here. What we need is personalized plans to regrow our hair.
Yeah. Don't drag me into this, Larson. Get out of here. Keep talking about my hairline when you should be worried about your own hairline, Larson.
You know what that sounds like?
What?
Denial.
Yeah.
You're in denial, Steve, but you can't deny that Hims offers convenient access to a range of doctor-trusted, clinically proven prescription hair loss treatment options with ingredients that work in as little as 3 to 6 months. And you don't have to go out of your way to do it, because Hims brings expert care right to you with 100% online access to personalized treatments. Steve!
What?
You could literally get trusted treatments right from that couch right there behind you. Look over your shoulder. That one, the one you're pointing at.
That one right there. That one right there.
That same couch, yes. So for simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/goinginraw. That's hims.com/goinginraw for your free online visit. hims.com/goinginraw.
Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information.
This episode of Going In Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp, Steve. I don't know if you've been on internet lately.
Oh, yeah.
But gosh, whenever I go on internet, everywhere I go on internet, I'm just overloaded with all sorts of posts from people trying to dole out all kinds of advice about mental health or wellness.
Yeah, man. Internet. I've been on internet lately, and I can confirm that is, in fact, the case. It could be a lot to navigate, which is why it's important to use trusted sources and talk to live therapists to help you break through all that noise.
So true. I definitely needed some help breaking through all the noise when I was dealing with severe anxiety about 20 years ago. Eventually got to the point where I had to go to therapy. Therapy helped me learn the tools I needed to better cope with my anxiety and get me on the path to hopefully becoming a much better Larson.
With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. BetterHelp is also making therapy much more convenient. You can join a session with a therapist with a click of a button, so you can fit therapy into your busy schedule, and then you can switch therapists at any time.
As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. So talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/raw. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw. Next hot take.
Man. Yeah, more hot takes.
From Joker Smiley says the new generation era wasn't as bad as as people say. It gave us HBK, Brett, Owen, Diesel, Razor, Yokozuna as top stars.
Is that a selling point?
I mean, that's 6 names out of a roster, probably, 50, 60?
Yeah, no. If you compare that to what came before and what came after, it doesn't even close to come up. What happened before, these are mid-card guys who by necessity got to the top. Now there are, Razor was awesome. I'll take her. In my opinion, man, Razor Ramon should have been world champion, dude.
Absolutely.
That shit should have happened.
It totally should have happened.
1,000%.
Yeah.
But man, it was hokey. Dude, here's the thing. You think this is the case? Try watching an episode of Raw from the new generation. It fucking sucks.
It's awful.
It's the same shit. I mean, that's one case where I didn't even need an hour of that show because it was the same shit. It was just like squash jobber match after squash jobber match in a rinky-dink ass little venue. No heat. It all sucked. No, the new generation. Listen, man, the new generation. It's fun because it's the 90s and we all love the 90s and everything. But let's be honest, man. You lie to your friends, I'll lie to mine. Let's not lie to each other. The new generation era fucking blew, and I'm sure people, I wasn't watching at the time, but I'm sure people watching at the time, once Vince McMahon got up there and said, bad guys and good guys are cliche. You know, that shit. And he jumped in the Attitude Era, and you had fucking Brian Pillman with a gun. That shit was badass. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Fucking guns and titties, man. That's what the Attitude Era is all about, Larson.
So Steve wants guns and boobs, not vocational gimmicks.
Brother, tell me where I'm wrong. There ain't nobody who wouldn't rather get that. Get out of here, man. Yeah, no, get out. The new jet, it sucked.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
Boring ass hour-long Iron Man match. Nobody wants to see that shit at WrestleMania.
I think you could go to any era of wrestling and, say, all right, This era didn't suck because look at these 5 or 6 wrestlers. They're awesome.
Yeah.
All the wrestlers listed here were huge stars for that era.
Yeah.
But it's not just the talent that was there, it's how the talent was utilized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The gimmicks were hokey and over the top and cartoonish and generally pretty lame. The stories, when they happened, sucked.
Mm-hmm.
That is the issue more than anything else. Not so much the talent. There's a lot of good talent. They weren't being utilized for shit for the most part.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah, man. Vince had to get those. He had to put Brett. He was a tag team guy. He didn't even have a big rebrand or anything. Had to put Brett at the top. And then even then, he sort of half-assed it. HBK be politicking backstage with his buddies, getting rid of the real franchise Shane Douglas. That was bullshit. You had Yokozuna. Yeah, man. No, none of that. And then, the finishes all sucked. Like WrestleMania 9 blew.
Terrible.
And then he had, how did Brett beat Yokozuna that one time? Yokozuna, fell and Brett pinned him.
Yeah.
He couldn't even get that shit right.
No.
It sucked.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. It's Aaron with a hot take. Says 30-minute opening promos are better than starting with a match. No. Next hot take. But Aaron's got a good reason here. Says, if I missed the first 10 minutes, who cares? At least I won't really be missing much.
I love this from Aaron because it's predicated on the idea that he's late. He didn't, he's like, oh man, I got shit. Raw started 10 minutes ago. Oh, he goes and he's like, well, I didn't miss much.
So Aaron's viewpoint is, I get a grace period to start Raw.
Yeah, I have I give myself a 6-minute grace period because that's how long the recaps are now.
Yeah, exactly. It's 5 to 6 minutes to begin the show. Yeah.
Remember that period of time when Triple H would start things in the middle of a match and was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Or a brawl's just happening. Where's that shit?
I know. My attitude has always been, you want to grab your viewer as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And starting the show with 10 minutes of recaps plus 30 minutes of talking, in my estimation, ain't it.
Hey, let me ask you this.
Give me something exciting, something that grabs me immediately.
People walking into the venue doesn't exactly cut it, man. But here's the thing. Whenever they show that, the crowd hella pops.
It's good for the live crowd because you know why? They know those people are going to be on the show.
Yeah, I know. Do you think that's because they did start doing that. I mean, Triple H started doing that shit after because Triple H was also doing hey, we're going to start on a brawl. But now it's the same thing every time. Do you think that's because they're trying to charge so much money for tickets? They're more concerned with the live crowd than they are with fucking us at home watching TV?
I don't know. It could be.
I mean, it feels kind of victory lap-ish. Hey, first we want a drone showing how many people are here. And it's the place to be.
Yeah.
All right,
Frank Costanza's pool room, yeah.
It's the place to be. I'm kind of curious why they had that sort of format change. And
they got some numbers or metrics or something
just so many minutes of recaps to start things off.
I mean, as it is now, Aaron, you got about 10 minutes grace period, and you probably won't even miss more than 15 seconds of the opening promo from the Vision. So.
Yeah, but Aaron, you got to stop. Don't try to manifest this 30-minute opening promo shit, man.
We don't need that. We don't need that.
No.
Give me excitement.
I'll be honest, with most WWE matches, if you miss the first 10 minutes, you ain't missing much anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. Especially on TV. Subeldu here says, Damian Priest's cash-in is only special because of where it happened. The title reign was bad. He was never elevated, and the moment ended up being more important to the Drew Punk story than anything regarding Priest. Seth's cash-in would be good no matter where it happened, but was made legendary by the circumstances of Mania. Priest's cash-in pales in comparison, is only somewhat memorable because it took place at Mania. I don't really disagree with any of this.
I don't disagree. I think this is actually a well thought out thesis, not necessarily a hot take, because I don't think this is necessarily controversial. You look back on it, and the bigger thing you remember is CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. If Damian Priest if this had elevated him to a Seth Rollins 2015 situation, it'd be looked at a little bit different, I think.
It'd be looked at a lot different. Yeah.
Yeah. It's certainly better than Dolph Ziggler's cash in.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
All right. This is Nate. Says, the Vision look and feel like 3 guys they slap together instead of a team because they don't have a look to them as a unit.
Nate probably appreciates a good T-shirt logo combo.
I'll say this. And while when Braun and Bronson wear the suits, they're not as flashy as Seth's. When they all come out kind of, dressed their nicest, at least there's a measure of unity there.
I think one thing that helps also is the chemistry between the members. I think if we had more backstage segments where we understand their dynamics, I think that would go a long way perception-wise of like, oh, these guys fit as a unit because we see the chemistry. I think if they stay together as a faction for a while, that will get better. But, I'd rather have, I'll give you another example of guys who do thematically group up, and that's Dark State. And it's like these guys, I know they're a faction and everything. They just won the tag titles, but it's just sort of like four dudes. It's 3 dudes and Saquon Sugars, And so at least with the Vision, each guy has kind of a role. Like they have, Braun Breaker, he's the future WrestleMania guy. Bronson Reed, he's the guy who beat up Seth Rollins and earned his respect. And now he's the guy who loves shoes.
Yeah.
They all have like a defined role.
Yeah.
But me too, Nate. I'm a fan of a good T-shirt logo situation. But I think in the case of the Vision, I don't really think that would work.
They need to bust out like some sort of really bright all over print shirt for the Vision, something that's clearly inspired by Seth's wardrobe.
Yeah, right. I could see that. Yeah.
Just really cool. Bright.
Just so obnoxious. They're all just coming out color not safe. Your
not
TV
color
is
safe
blowing
on
up.
TV. You're getting, the shirt's burning into your TV. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm down with that. I say do it. I say roll with it.
Hot take here. Although I don't know how hot this one is. Every day a payday says Paul Heyman is the most useless he's ever been. He does virtually nothing for the Vision, and everything he does should be done by Seth.
Here's why I put this in here, because are we going to now forget his time with Cesaro? Are we now
Curtis Axel?
Thank you. Are we going to forget his time with Curtis Axel?
With Ryback?
He had Ryback.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, this is
know
the fourth most useless he's been.
Yeah, listen, if you said Paul Heyman's not doing terribly interesting work right now, I'd say, yeah, you might be onto something. Heyman turning on Roman to join Seth was only done so that you'd have this perceived heat between Roman and Heyman because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So far, Heyman has not added a whole lot to what Seth is doing.
No, I agree. I agree, but at the same time, you're right, because if you look at his role in the Bloodline was like impossibly.
You take one member out of the Bloodline, something is lost,
So like,
if you took Heyman out of the Vision, I'd be like, all right, well, they're still the Vision.
Here's the thing. Look, you can only look at a couple more examples. Obviously, his probably best work was in the Bloodline because everybody had such a distinct role, and he played such a great role with the character dynamic stuff. With Brock, he had this Hulk-like figure who needed somebody to talk for him, and their real life, relationship, friendship, professional as well, really added a lot to that. And it was a perpetual main event thing, main eventing God knows how many WrestleManias. And so Heyman really, really worked well with Brock. Those are kind of like a 1A, 1B situation, to be honest with you. Obviously, putting him with an up-and-coming guy just never worked because of the two examples we mentioned. In this situation, he doesn't need to be a guy that's talking because Seth can talk just fine. It's sort of his history. Like you said, the history with Roman Reigns. Like, that is the thing that he represents. And again, if we had more character dynamic exploration, I think that we could see him being more useful.
Yeah, and I think we all know that Heyman, if he has good material, can cut a really good promo.
Oh, that yeah.
Right now, week after week, he's just coming out more or less saying the same thing.
It's the same, and people love it.
People eat it up. I know because it's a participatory thing. Everybody wants
like
to do
the
the
greatest hits stuff.
Yeah, but if it's a situation where there was more for him to do to explore the character dynamics between everybody, and that was the focus, like it was with the Bloodline, then yeah, I don't know if we'd be having this conversation about Heyman at this juncture in his career, being a member of the Vision. But him with Cesaro, and especially Cesaro. Cesaro should have been a babyface after winning the Andre, and the next night they turned him heel with Heyman.
Yeah, that was weak.
Didn't make a whole lot of sense. Next one here is this Ranjack.
Ranjack
has a hot take. Current NXT is the spiritual successor to the Attitude Era in that everyone, no matter how minor, feels like they have a story or something to do, no matter how small. That's one analogy that I think to a certain extent holds true. Yeah, I think Shawn Michaels makes an effort to have everybody on TV be on TV for a reason.
So I think in that it should be sort of changed to current. I appreciate current NXT because, like the Attitude Era, it features everybody on the roster, no matter how small or how far down they are. But when you start off by saying NXT is a spiritual successor to the Attitude Era, then you run into some sticky situation. Then it becomes truly hot because that's kind of it. That's kind of like, well, also, okay, I'll say this. NXT also, like the Attitude Era, you only needed 2 hours of television. I mean, I know SmackDown came later, but like during the prime Attitude Era, you had Raw and monthly pay-per-views. That's all you needed. That's all NXT needs. Now, it's kind of where the analogy ends. It's kind of where the comparisons end.
Yes.
Because the Attitude Era had a sense of urgency. It had wildly over characters, performers who understood who they were playing. And it had guns and titties, Larson.
I was waiting for you to say that. I was waiting for that.
Although NXT's got one of them things. Oh, God damn it.
Oh, dear.
God damn it. God damn it.
All right, hot take here from Bucket Dipper says R-Truth's return.
Did you hold on a second? Back up 1 second. Did
What?
you see shit, you're not on socials. Dave Meltzer was talking about NXT and how, like, he was talking about how Heatwave, they're talking about Heatwave. He was like, these are nothing lineups. This is nobody's talking about this. Nobody cares because they're not giving us anything to care about. And I don't think it was Alvarez. It was the other guy. I forget. But he was like, well, they do really well with the young male demographic. And he was like, no, they do. They do incredibly well with the young. And Meltzer laughed. He was like, yeah, you have a bunch of young men just sitting there watching NXT by themselves. And then I saw a Twitter quote tweet of that. Somebody said they got the Gooner demographic. Oh, boy.
Oh, goodness.
Goodness gracious.
All right, Bucket Dipper with the hot take says, R-Truth's return has been a waste of time for everybody involved. It took them 2 months just to revert him back to a low mid-card comedy character again.
Yeah, it was like, oh, man, people are kicking up a fuss. Let's go ahead and do this thing here, make it look like, oh, we're doing something. And then, like, when people started worrying more about Cross now and everybody thought Truth was cool, let's just bring him back to where he was. And then maybe when, we let his contract expire, I'll give him a little extra money to not announce it. How about you? They're going to have him pre-record like 50 shots on buses, on airplanes, saying, hey, I couldn't make it tonight. And they're like, hey, we'll pay you for those 50 videos. So you can continue to be on television, but we won't have to pay you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't. What's the point of it? Is it just hey, we tried this, and nobody thinks here in creative. We don't know what to do with this. Ron, do you have any ideas? Nah, I'm cool being a comedy guy until this runs out. Okay, we'll give you a good send off. We'll commit to that. Because people really love you.
Yeah.
But maybe just nobody there was into it. Or maybe just Triple H wasn't into it, and then Truth has to do whatever he's told to do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Hot take here from the Yokiest Egg. Says the way WWE TKO handled re-signing Karrion Kross is embarrassingly bad and goes to show how little they actually care about what fans want.
Well, they didn't re-sign him.
Well, I think that's what the Yokiest Egg here is referring to. They didn't
handled his lack of re-signing.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, can we keep it real? Obviously, I've been keeping it real this whole show. How many fans really are going to care 3 months from now? I see we want cross signs out there. I hear some chants. But I don't think, and dude, I want all the best for Cross. I do, and I wish he was still on my television.
Same.
But he was like hardly used in the first place. And so when somebody's hardly used and then they're gone, you don't really notice it all that much. It's not like you can miss something that really wasn't there all that much.
Yeah. I guess WWE is banking on the fact that most of their fans are fans of WWE before they're fans of individual wrestlers. And at the end of the day, regardless of who comes and goes, their most ardent fans are going to stick by and watch the company's product.
Yeah. You know, I hope that people, I hope people do keep on chanting for Cross simply
Same.
because that kind of, you know, he can go to other companies and be like, hey, see what's happening? They're chanting for me. Give me some more money. But the way they handled it from their perspective. You know, we got his point of view, and I believe the dude, and that everything that happened probably happened the way he said it did. That's how they presented him the contra. That was the kind of value they saw in him. And when he said, "Show me where you get these metrics from," they're like, "Nah, we're not going to do that."
That was them saying, that's more effort than we would put into re-signing you. We really don't want to re-sign you in the first place.
It's kind of, it was kind of clear. He just didn't fit into their plans. And you know how I know that? Because they never used him. So I don't know. I feel like they just handled it the way they handled it. I don't think there's anything embarrassing about it. They just handled it the way they handled it. I'm not trying to like fucking defend the company. Like if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, Steve, we'd like to offer you this amount of money," I'm like, okay, well, I'm justified in saying, well, how do you come to that? And they're justified in being like, I don't know, we just came up with that number. I don't have any, I don't have any metric. I'm like, I don't want you that much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I feel like they didn't really play the game that I think people thought they were going to play. Like, oh, we're going to sign him, but we're going to make it seem like it was not a real deal. Mm-hmm. And he just came back, and then he just didn't come back. Well, like they didn't hint that he was coming back. So I don't know.
BJ Blazkowicz with the hot take says Vince McMahon is the George Lucas / Steve Jobs of pro wrestling in the sense that their supposed genius is what is solely credited and cites for the brand's success and legacy in the world, when in reality is due to the hard work of the people around them to implement that grand vision.
I mean, there is something to be said. And you know me, I got no love for Vince McMahon. Seems like a real piece of you-know-what, Larson. But, like, in terms of having a vision, you can't tell me he didn't. He did. Mm-hmm. It was put everybody else out of business so that I could be number one.
Yeah.
And if you look at what the territories were doing versus what he ended up doing in 84, 85, it's like, oh, man, no, he knew what he was fucking doing. That's for damn sure. He really did. You can't look at WrestleMania 1, 2, and 3 and then compare that to what else was going on and be like, oh, man, no, there's a reason why this is mainstream. There's a reason why this is broken through. He understood the zeitgeist at the time. He goddamn might have been a little bit ahead of it for that matter, which is shocking, given that, like, by the end, he was 10 years behind it.
Oh, yeah, at least.
Yeah. But no, I thought, you know, when you think of Star Wars, you think George Lucas still, even though he's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, he sold that IP years ago.
Yeah. It wouldn't shock me if they tried to bring him back for like a project.
Wouldn't surprise. Or if they tried. Yeah, they tried.
If they tried. Yeah. But Steve Jobs, yeah, especially you take a look at where Apple was back when Steve Jobs was around versus where it is now. Big difference.
Massive.
And you know, I don't know where WWE is going to be 10 years from now, but in terms of having a distinct vision for something big and unique, oh, Vince had that. Yeah, I could see that.
Hot take here from Coach John Pliskin says AEW did more for Impact and CMLL than WWE has for Impact and AAA.
AEW did more for Impact and CMLL than WWE has for Impact. Man, okay, so I don't know about CMLL. Can't really speak on that. But which partnership led to TNA having their biggest attendance? WWE.
Yeah. Yep.
And, I think WWE has a point when they can claim there are metrics to suggest that this year's Triple Mania was, in whatever nebulous way you want to consider it, the biggest one ever. Obviously, they've had one. The initial one, the inaugural, was attended by double the audience. They were in a stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't claim
by
that.
Social metrics and YouTube views.
I think the gate wasn't the gate the biggest because they charged a lot.
They charge a lot more for tickets now. Than back then. Yeah.
It's too early to tell the AAA thing, and I honestly have no idea what what AEW's done for CMLL. If it's increase their business,
I don't know
a lot, or
I know when Kenny was Impact champion and was on Impact TV, it improved the viewership numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nothing like the crowd they got. I mean, look at the crowd they got for Slammiversary, the largest crowd that company has ever seen for a pay-per-view.
Yeah,
they've been around for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
They averaged more than 2 million viewers a week at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And they never got a crowd that large.
Yeah, that was always surprising to me when they were like, "Oh, 8,000, largest ever." I'm like, they never did 12,000 when Kurt Angle and Sting were around.
I know.
That's wild to me.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
Last one here from the Wallinator. No grunge hot takes today.
Dude, why is it we had 3 grunge questions in our regular episode, but then they're not dropping in my hot take? Dude, we need grunge hot takes.
Or at least music or something.
Or some Steven Larson bullshit. That's always something funny. Give us a Hilton hot take.
Well, maybe we'll get more of those after we have an interview with them.
Good point.
Wallinator here says WWE increasing ticket prices would be more reasonable if they still ran house shows as a budget option.
Oh, I 1,000% agree with this.
This is an interesting perspective. Because at least, a few years ago when they were still doing house shows, I guess, many years ago, you could get a first row ringside seat at a house show for $100.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually they started adopting more of a TV model where the first 2 rows, I think, were $500, but you got the chair and you got the backstage experience and your little gift bag and all that kind of stuff. I mean, compared to what they're charging for ringside seats now for TV and especially pay-per-view, $500 comes off as a bargain.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But still, $500 for one seat at a wrestling show is a lot of money.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
Do you foresee, for example, McDonald's fan backlash cause them to create a McValue meal?
Yeah.
Apparently, you can get some McValue deals starting at $5 according to their website.
Yeah, you've been able to do that for a while.
The McChicken meal deal.
Yeah, I've got that before.
And you get according to this, it looks like 4 chicken nuggets and a chicken sandwich, fries, and a Coke.
A small fry and a small drink, yeah.
Okay.
For $5.
The McDouble meal deal. You only get 4 nuggets?
Mm-hmm.
Christ. Remember when it wasn't that long ago that you can get 20 for $5. God. We had it good back then.
We did have it good. We were eating good back then.
Yeah, we were eating good back then.
I mean, if the idea, if WWE is going to charge exorbitant ticket prices for the televised events, and then for the house shows, it's priced more for the average fan to be able to sit close to the ring, that would be great. But I'm guessing, I haven't looked at, because WWE still runs house shows, just not as many.
WWE Live.
Yeah. I haven't looked at ticket prices lately for those. I would guess it's probably still pretty expensive because there are probably some people are still willing to pay that much for the WWE experience. Obviously not as much, I would think, as a pay-per-view or...
What's more likely to happen? WWE starts, they stop going to house shows because it's too expensive, And so WWE just stops running house shows, or they lower the house show ticket prices as like a gateway to the televised stuff.
Oh, they would stop doing house shows.
I agree. They're like, oh, you cheap bastards. We don't want pores here.
So the only house shows they have on their schedule on their site are the European house shows this week. And then there's some house shows in Australia, I believe. Yeah. Oh, Japan in Australia before, or is this after?
You know,
around the time of Crown Jewel.
You know, it'd be smart, and I hate this idea, but it's a really smart one. Run house shows against AEW in those markets and charge AEW ticket prices. Boom, look at that. They should hire me. Cutthroat capitalist Steve here, Larson.
I know. Look at you.
All right, so, Triple H, here's the deal also. We need more guns. We need more titties.
So Brilliant. I'm looking at, where is this? This is in Leeds.
Leeds.
The house show there. I mean, there's not like first row, but there's floor seats, and they're going for about 150 pounds.
About $200.
About $200.
$200, yeah.
But they're, what, 6 rows back?
That's not terrible. That's actually not that bad. That's a house show in Leeds.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the closest that you can find prices for?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that is the next house show they have scheduled.
That's not awful, considering that front row at a house show in 2013, 2012 was like $100.
Mm-hmm. But then we went to a house show a few years after that, and that's when they started doing the $500.
That's right. Yeah. Front row, get the seat, get a $500 chair.
Yeah, you're paying $500 for a chair and a program and a couple of other things.
Mm-hmm. I still have a couple of those chairs. Anyways, that is going to do it for the show today, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.